Hey guys, welcome to CryptoCoach365. It's day 122. So last day, worked at the plane this morning. We had to leave at about 1:30, so we were there for most of the morning and a bit of, well, all the morning and a bit of afternoon. Unfortunately, since we checked out at our hotel early in the morning, we didn't really have a chance to, well, shower and wash off and stuff afterwards. So a little dusty, a little unkempt. We had a change of clothes though, but we are at the airport now. There's my plane right there. So yeah, today I was mostly finishing stuff. We this morning before we got there, some of the guys were helping us. They went through and what was it? Spray painted the entire fuselage of the plane with primer. That kind of makes all the little divots and scratches stand out a lot. So after that, they painted it with little dabs of, look like red paint, but it's actually a very hard, what is it? Kind of an epoxy paint, which fills out all the holes. And then afterwards, we went over it with wet sanding with really fine grit, which removed the paint but left the filled in holes. So basically we made the entire plane very smooth, and it's really almost, it's kind of amazing. It starts out feeling kind of rough, like you run your hand on it and you or a rag on it and it will actually catch on it. After we're done wet sanding it, it was very smooth, almost like glass or plastic. So good to know, especially for a plane that that is going to be moving so fast, and also kind of neat to see how how that's done, where you take it from a very rough kind of almost spackle kind of compound to very smooth, almost plastic kind of a setup. Anyway, done with the plane, heading back. Have a lot of work to do back home, a lot of other business to catch up on. As I said, I've mentioned my laptop is dead, so I can only work from my phone and my tablet. My tablet unfortunately was inadequate. But hopefully when I'll get home I'll be able to fix the laptop and at least have a big computer to catch up on, because I do have a lot of real estate to catch up on. With regards to Bitcoin, recently there was actually unrelated to Bitcoin. There was let me step into this kind of a quieter area. There was a recent breach of Facebook accounts. Actually this kind of a similar thing happens to banks, other big businesses, and the reason that this happens is because as a business gets bigger and bigger, it collects more and more valuable data, or in the case of banks or even exchanges, especially exchanges, it collects more and more people's actual money, which can be stolen. So there's kind of a paradox or a downside to grow bigger, because the bigger and bigger you get, the more information for customers you store, and as a result you also end up becoming a bigger and much more valuable target. Because if you're a small business that doesn't really have a lot of, or a small bank doesn't have a lot of information on other customers, doesn't have a lot of money, nobody's really interested in you. But as you get bigger and bigger, you end up being a bigger and bigger target. Bitcoin sort of fixes that issue in that instead of storing money in a single bank like you would with regular currency, with Bitcoin it's all stored basically on people's phones and separate accounts. So they don't have to, instead of a thief having to go after a single big target, everything is decentralized where there's a whole bunch of little targets. And that's actually something for me to keep in mind with regards to my own project that I'll be working on, in that if we set it up as a big, massive custodial type of a thing, we become a really big target. Whereas if we figure out how to decentralize it, make kind of non-custodial accounts, so to speak, where everybody's very important data is not stored with us, but on their separate phones and separate devices, that would actually make us a smaller target, while we are still able to provide most of the same services that a big centralized service would do. And that's really, as I said, that's kind of what Bitcoin does in general, and that's probably, I think, a pretty good philosophy to follow, where the less of customer data you can store in a centralized server on your own system, the better. and with us it'll be the less customer data and the less money as well. So anyway, something for us to think about, maybe something for you to think about as well if you are planning to implement or do any kind of blockchain technology type of stuff. The public stuff is always public. The stuff's on the blockchain, you can't make private anyway. But the private keys that'll actually give you access to that to let you spend it, as well as any kind of private information, that you could encrypt it and store it where you don't have the keys to actually decrypt it and see it. So it's just something to think about. Keep everything decentralized as much as you can. Anyway, we're about to board on the plane and head out back home. So we'll be home late, probably about 1 a.m. But I had to have a whole day here as much as I could. Next week I will be traveling again, starting from I think Wednesday morning. Yeah, I have to be up at 4 a.m. on Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday at least I have for real estate. This weekend I'm actually going to be catching up on family because I don't get to see them very much. So anyway, signing off until tomorrow. See ya.